All right, let's do some mountain painting today. I got liquid white all over this, all over my canvas. This is going to be a wet on wet, and I'm going to start with pink. We're going to start in our sky. I always like to use pink, just frankly because I think it looks good. And I'm using a 1-inch brush because I like to place colors in certain areas. I think a 2-inch to me is too big to use to start out with most of the time. And I do like this pink though. It mixes really well. I think it looks pretty good behind the mountain. Let's make sure we're going to bring this down far enough. Let's see, that's probably good. Let's take some phthalo blue. Let's run it across the top. Let's run it down the sides. This is Christmas Day, by the way. I'm doing this on Christmas Day, 2022. So I may not be down here too long today. My grandkids are here and they've already went back home. And I'm just going to do a quick little mountain painting today. So I'm not down here too awful long. I may just do the mountains today and maybe do the trees and the other stuff maybe tomorrow to finish it up. Let's take some Prussian blue. I want it pretty dark in the corners and along the top. I hope I got enough Prussian blue on my palette here. I thought I did when I started. But I'm running low, but I think I got enough for this. Okay, let's take us a 2-inch brush. I've already checked it out. It's clean. Let's start in the middle. We're going to work our way out. We're going to do crisscross strokes. We're going to blend this up. And we're going to try to get as much of the pink done before we get into this dark blue. Once you get into this dark blue, you can't go back into the pink. You'll take away all your pink. There won't be anything left. So we're going to try. The blue will mix, but that's okay. But you just don't want it to. You want to be able to see some pink by the time it's all said and done. See, this blue really mixes well, I think, with this pink. We're just going to keep going along here. Let me get some of this edge here. I'm wiping my brush off as I'm going along also to take off some of this excess blue. Because see, now I'm up here in this real dark blue. See, this is what's coming off my brush. Can you see that? That's why I'm always wiping this brush off. Because you almost have to, especially when you get up here in this real dark stuff. I like that. I really like the way this sky looks. I mean, I use the pink and the blue all the time. I mean, I just think it works. That's just my opinion. I think it works well. Okay, let's get ready to do some mountains here. Let me pull this painting out just a touch. Make sure it's solid. Okay. This color that I made is black, Prussian blue, and brown, burnt umber. I mixed it up. This is for a close-up mountain. I took some of this, put it in this, added some white, and that's what that gave us. And this is just brown and white. Burnt umber and white, that's all this is. This is darker than this. The darker colors go to our mountain in the front. And I'm kind of winging this today. I think maybe I want 2 mountains here and 1 big one here. Maybe leaving some of this center open. That's it. That's what I have in my mind. We'll see if it works that way. Everything's subject to change. So I think I'm going to start with a far away mountain right in here. Like I said, we're just winging this. I don't really have a plan. Especially don't have a plan for down here. I don't have a plan for this either, but okay, let's bring this one up a little higher right here. All right, let's pull that out. Let me get my paper towels ready to roll here. And we're going to take our brush. I want to use a clean one today. I sometimes use that old dirty one. I better not do that. Let's just pull our paint out. Like I said, I got liquid white over this whole canvas, and liquid white is what you put on here. It helps your paints blend. Helps them blend real good. Blend together, just like this did. If I didn't have liquid white up there, I would have a really hard time doing that. It could be done, but it just wouldn't look the same. We're just going to blend this out. I'm not sure what mountain I want in front of which. I may put this one in front of that one. I had it the other way in my mind, but the more so I said everything's subject to change. Now that I'm looking at it, I may put this one in front of that one. Okay. Next, let's do the big mountain. It's going to get the darker color. Because the closer something is, the darker in color. Now, let's see what we're going to do here. I'm not sure really what to do. I don't know. We got to do something, don't we? Let's just try and use our imagination and come up with some kind of form. I'm just not sure what kind of form, but we're going to work on trying to figure it out. We're just using our imaginations, all we're doing. I'm just going to take some of this black, kind of smear it in here, and then scrape it off, because I want this dark. Let's see what that does for us. Let me turn around here and get this brush. Let's just see what happens. There's only one way to find out if something looks good, and that's just to go ahead and do it. If it don't look good, you can change it. It's not too late to change anything until it dries. And then sometimes you can still change things, but it makes it a lot harder. See, this is a different looking mountain. That's what I was shooting for. I want something to look a little different than what I normally do. And this looks different. All right, let's go ahead while I'm thinking. We're just going to keep working, and an idea may pop in my mind. I don't know. Let's just keep working on it. Let's go ahead and do these back mountains first. I'm going to use the lighter color, which is this, the light brown. This is light. This is for the back mountains. This is for the front. Let's say the sun is coming down, or the light is coming down this way today. And let's go ahead and put some stuff on these back mountains. I'm getting right up to the edge, and I am barely touching it. And I'm going to keep wiping my knife off. You got to get a clean spot on your paper towel. That's what I'm fooling with here. Let's do this one. hit this. But I've said it over and over again, man, as long as you don't have the cheapest paint money can buy, you can do this with any paint. As long as you don't have dirt cheap paint. But the trick is how light you're touching the canvas. That's really the trick to it all. If you want your paint to break, and that's what that means, that's what that's doing right there, you barely touch it. I can't stress it enough. I mean, that is the secret to it. I mean, I'm barely touching it. Once you figure out the feel of what you're doing, it's not that bad. It will be when you first start, of course. Anything is when you first start. I think that looks pretty good right there. Let me fix these paper towels a little better. Okay. Now let's jump over here to this bigger one. We're going to use the darker color, which is this one. Let's see what kind of mess we can make now with this. I like going down these edges first because they're kind of hard. Or you got to be more steady, I should say. No, they're not hard. They're just, you got to be a little more careful. Not sure how far down to bring it, but we'll just do whatever we think is right at the moment. We'll just do whatever we think is right. And I keep wiping my knife off because I'm picking up the paint underneath. Yeah, coming up with different designs can be a problem. And like I said, mainly my problem is down here trying to come up with something different every time. That can be a real challenge. I know it probably may not seem like it should be, but it is. Let me look here a minute. I want this mountain to look a little different than I normally do, and I think it's probably going to. The way it's looking, I think it probably will be a little different. Yeah, I'm serious, man. I can't stress it enough. Barely touch it. Also, you don't have to use liquid white. Liquid white and liquid clear makes the canvas wet and makes it hard for your paint to break sometimes. And I've got plenty of videos where I don't use any of it, because you don't have to use it. And I say this on every video, but some people have never seen my videos. But you do not have to use it. Your mountains will turn out just fine, even if you don't use it. Okay, let's make a shadow color. I'm going to take some white and I'm going to throw it in. This is the color we use back here. Let's see what we can do with this. Let's test it first. Okay, that's good. You gotta have you a test spot before you just throw it up here. Okay, I think it looks pretty good so far. Because you want this kind of light back in here. Because it's farther away. Okay, let me stand back and take a peek. All right, so far so good. Now let's take some of this color. I'm gonna use the same color. It may be still a little dark. Let me add a little more white to it. Just fool around with it till you get it the way you want it. Let's use a test area. Let's start here. Okay, that looks okay, I think. I'll probably use my small knife for some of this up in here. But for right here, let's go ahead and throw some of this in. It's a little bit dark. Let me add a little more white. I don't like it quite that dark. I guess you could call this a gray color. I'm not sure. Call it whatever color you want it to be, can't you? But I want you to be able to see it at home. Let's see how it looks over here. I'm gonna make this a little darker down through here, so I ain't really too worried about that. Let me grab my other knife here. Uh-oh, there went one knife on the floor, and that's okay. Let me grab this other knife here. It's pretty dark. I can lighten it up, I guess, but I think that's probably okay for now. Let me get this knife in the floor. Boy, the floor is getting further and further away the older I get. Can you imagine that? Let me fix this real quick. Let me just rip off some paper towels. All right. What I'm going to do next, I think, is I'm going to go ahead and put some white highlights up here before I go any further. Fix me a spot right here. I'm just taking pure white. I like to skim the top of these. Basically because I think it looks good, for no other reason than that. Snow-capped mountains. And that's just pure white. Just skim across, barely touch it. You know, the higher elevation, there's snow up there on them hills. Up on a higher elevation there is. Okay, let me do just a touch over here. Just a touch. Not much. Okay, let me darken this up a little bit here. I'm just mixing some of this mountain color with this color. I want to make this foreground a little darker right in here. That's pretty dark, ain't it? I'm making it darker because it shows it's closer. I'm going to take a brush and kind of mix it up a little bit. That's pretty dark right there. I probably better stop with that. Now let me go along and tap some of this. Give the indication of some fog or whatever you want it to be. It's just whatever we want. Okay, let's hit this. I'll have to put some more back here, I think. Let me hit this real lightly up through here. See, I'm trying to give the indication of fogginess. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay, let me touch this just a little bit. It's a little too harsh. Okay, let me look at it here a minute. And I usually have to go over it again a few times, but that's okay. Let's see here. Let me put some of this back. Paper towels are in the way now. Okay, I'm standing back and I'm looking. You always have to stand back and look to see what you're doing. It sounds ridiculous, I know, but it's the truth, I promise you. You have to stand back because, I mean, I'm right on top of it here and I can see it real good, but if I stand back, I can see it better. Let me take some of this topping color, this brown and white, and I'm going to go over some of these areas. Because we don't want straight lines, I want it to look a little chunky. Maybe chunky's not the word. Maybe out of order. Maybe out of order is a better word. Better words. This is a mountain. You don't want it to look real orderly. Let's see how that's looking. Okay, let me take a little white and touch on some of this. I'm just trying to figure out what we're doing here, what we need. Wiping my knife off. All right, I'm back. You know, I guess this is going to be as good as it gets today with these mountains. I mean, they're not bad. You know, maybe I can touch them up a little bit later. But we're going to go ahead in the meantime. Like I said, this is Christmas Day. I want to get upstairs. I'm in my basement. I'm going to go ahead and throw some water in real quick. And I'm going to start with some pinks right here. I'm sure we want some pink in our water, show reflection of the sky. So I'll probably start there. It's not going to be pure pink, I can tell you that. I got a lot of blue in my brush, but that's okay. And I'm going to use this same mountain color. And I'm going to start throwing some of that in here. I don't really know where I want my water at, guys. I'll be honest with you. I'm just filling this in for now. I just don't know what I want yet in this painting. I may not want nothing but water. I mean, I don't know. It's one of the things you just have to do it, man, and just figure it out as you go along sometimes. Sometimes that's the best way. I'll make this water a little darker here in these corners. And along the edge. Down here at the bottom in this corner, darker. So I just want to make a quick mountain painting today. And we'll just let it go at that for today because this is Christmas. I don't want to be down here too long. All right, let's go ahead and put us the tree line in. I've been thinking about what I can do here, but we're going to start with, I do know we're going to start with the tree line. I don't know, I may want a piece of land here and here. Let's go ahead, let's just start right here. This is black sap green. We're just going to do us a quick little tree line. Black sap green, small junky brush. That's all you need. Make them different heights, so they're not the same. And let's bring it on down here. So you can cover up some of this stuff here if you want. It's no big deal. It's your painting. You can do whatever you want with it. Black, sap green. These will be a little bigger maybe. I don't know. Might be. Let's look at it here a minute. These should probably be a little bigger. Make these a little bigger right in here. Yeah, I might put something else in here. I might not. I just don't know. All right, let's put some cad yellow light just for some color. Let's put a little bit just here and there, just to brighten up the atmosphere a little bit. I'm putting it all over it because I want some in the water too. We got to put reflections in here. This is just for color, folks. Let me take a little bit of this green. I may have put too much in here. See if I can darken that a little bit. I don't want quite that much, I don't think. Just hit it in a few spots just to darken it back up a little. Okay, let me get me a reflection making brush. And what I mean by that is a brush that's pretty clean. I'll get my paper towels, I'm going to hold them in my hand. Oh, let's just start where we want. I'm going to try to keep wiping this off as I'm going. And we're just pulling down. I'm continuously wiping my brush because this paint is very wet because we just put it in. Okay. Now let's see if we need to go side to side. We want a mirrored look. Want somewhat of a mirrored look. And this is usually what gives it a mirrored look, is going side to side. But not too hard because you'll wipe your reflections away. I've done it. And you don't want to do that. Okay, let's get us a water line. Let's see how it looks with the water line. We're just going to fool around with it till we get how we want it, aren't we? I'm just going to take some, I might take a little, let me show you. Here's a pile of white. I think I'm going to take some of this brown and throw in there so it's not quite so bright. So it ain't a super bright water line. me see what we're doing here. Let's get down in here. Okay. Okay, that's a pretty nice straight water line. I usually don't like them nice and straight, but let's see, I could bring another row in front of this. I knew it would be straight because I was making it straight, so I know better than to do that. Okay, let me see something here. Black, sap green. Let me hold my palette. I'm gonna put a row of trees right down in here. In front of that row. A row in front of a row. Touch of cad yellow light. Reflection making brush. Yeah, I just want to break up that straight line is really what I'm shooting for here. You know, this looks like one big clump of trees, and that's fine. I just want to break this line up. That's my main goal. Break up the straight line. All right, now let's get our water line back. I think that looks better. Let's see what we can do. I'll have to wipe this back off. There's no doubt in my mind. Let's put a little piece of land right here. Just put something on it. Maybe one pine tree, a stump. I don't know, we'll think of something. Find me a brush. Let's go ahead, take some green, some yellow. This is very wet. Put a little grassy stuff on here. Green, yellow. Let's take some Prussian blue. I don't hardly have any left, but maybe this will work. It's going to be kind of dark here. Green. Now I've caked it on good, haven't I? Which is usually what you don't want to do. But I think that's okay. Let me wipe this off. All right. Let me put a pine tree in. I don't want it to be necessarily a big pine tree. This brush may work. I don't know. It's awful big. Let's try it. Black, sap green. Let's see, one pine tree. Is this where I want it? Since I've touched the canvas, I think it has to go there now. Don't have to, I'm just being silly. But I think it will go here. One pine tree. Black, sap green. Just something for some visual, you know, something to look at besides mountains. Okay. And I may put one stump. I haven't put a stump in a while in a painting. I'm gonna get me a stump making brush, which today is a number 3 round. Number 3 round, let's take some brown. I'm probably going to have to wipe some of this stuff off. Let's see, 1 pine tree, 1 stump. Yeah, that is really wet. Let's take some black mixed with that brown. Okay. Let me take a shop towel. Wipe my stump off. This shop towel, you can buy these at any Walmart. I'm just trying to get some of this gook off of here. That's a pretty big stump. That's good. I actually brought it down more than I wanted to, and I think it looks good that way. So I'll bring it on down then. Make it a big stump. Sometimes accidents are good, aren't they? Usually not, but sometimes they are. Yeah, that's a big stump. Okay, I'm back. I had to pause a minute and get some collars, man. I wasn't expecting to really go this far on this painting today, but I think I'm going to go ahead and just keep right on chugging. I'm going to take some white. I know they say not to use white sometimes, pure white, but this is not pure white, I promise you. Promise you that. It's pretty dirty white. And we're going to throw some collars in. I'm going to take some yellow ochre. I'm just going to mix up a bunch of collars. I should have got me some burnt sienna. I like using that. But instead, I'm going to use brown. Boring brown. And I'm going to throw some collars in here. See what else I got here I can throw in. Well, I got Prussian blue. And we're going to run it down the back side. To show darkness and shadow. Man, that's a hideous looking stump, ain't it? See what I can do with that thing. That thing don't look real good right now. Too much going on here. Oh, you know what, I may have to switch brushes. Let me get me a different brush. Once I stick that brush, I can't use any collars, man. Once I stick it in that Prussian blue, that's pretty much all that brush is good for. Let's try some of this yellow ochre again. This stump's real wet. It's really usually pretty difficult to work with something that's really super wet. As you all know, if you've ever oil painted. I am going to have to work on that stump. That stump. Oh my. All right, I went ahead and I made my pine tree a little bigger here. I think that's one thing that was missing off of it. It was too small. I just didn't want to get up here in this wet paint. But let's go ahead and put some highlights on that. I'm using pure cad yellow light. My brush is kind of dirty, but I think we might be able to do it. And I'm just going to kind of touch the right side of the tree. This is how I like to do my highlights on these kind of trees. And you see how dirty that brush is? That's why you got to have a paper towel with you. Because I just put that tree in and it's really, really wet. So we're just going to go down through here and throw some highlights on this tree. We only got one to do today. You got to get a pretty good gob on your brush, pretty good amount of paint. Now we're just on the right side of the tree, pretty much. And we're just about to be done. Stand back and take a look at that thing. All right, folks, that looks like a wrap. This is our Christmas Day mountain painting. Just something real quick and fast. Hope you enjoyed it. Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a happy holiday.